Spirits of Matter, and I just harvested my first garlic from the garden, and it tastes very spicy. I actually chewed on one, and I needed to eat like a whole tomato. It's kind of like it's spicy, so it was very exciting. And I put it in my Aries. Okay, there's a lot to it. This is Magic of the People. It's basically was done with Sol in Aries, and I know Sol in Aries was applying to Chiron, and the ruler was fallen, so it was a bit tricky. But I wanted to edit, and I edited it today. So, and as I was editing my. This is so cute. I was editing it. So I'm making me this. This is Silan, which is basically like honey made from dates, and it has some chamomile in it, and I don't remember what else. To be honest, maybe I don't know how you call it. We call it zuta, but I don't know how you call it in English. Anyway, and I added some garlic into it, so I'm gonna have me a garlic sauce with my own garlic. And as I was harvesting, I was kind of thinking like, of all the things. Oh, this is the cat, sweetie. You saw leave. She's just so sweet. My God. She won't let me touch her. She sits and observes me sometimes. She just sits next to me and looks at me. She won't let me touch her. But she's just so sweet. And I always leave like a window open for her to come in and out when I'm in the house. So, anyway, I was thinking about all the things that I've done since I basically planted the garlic, and the garlic was the first thing that I managed to grow that is edible, because I was trying to grow sweet potato, and it seems to be like the easiest thing ever. And no matter what I did, it didn't work for me. And then later I would grow potatoes, and I don't remember what else was I trying, but then it was like, okay, let's try garlic. And it worked. The garlic really worked, and it was so exciting to see. Like after a while, I saw that it grows inside, and the leaves went yellow. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm losing the garlic. And then I was looking at it, I was like, no, it's ready. It's ready. I got garlic. Um, so many things happened, and funny enough, I had actually an incident which I consider the Venus shade, because Venus is my neighborhood, and basically we have this fridge where we can get food, and if you need food you can bring, and if you can bring food to the fridge, then, and which is a very beautiful thing. But what was happening was that I'm a person who is right now from the process of growth. So sometimes I would not have food, and sometimes I would have to give food. And I guess that confuses people. Or I worked, yeah, or I work, so hard to save for something that I need for my feet or something like that. And I don't hide it. Like I don't hide if I bought something new, or if or sometimes I would buy at the store. And at first I noticed like a couple of months ago that the person at the store were kind of like making an odd face. He was no longer smiling and friendly. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm not communicating with this person. And then the other day when Venus was in her shade period, he was just telling me like, I hope this reaches the people it's supposed to reach. I don't know with what powers did I not slaughter him on the spot, because he knows I survived sexual violence. Um, and I was just like, right now it reaches me and I really need it. And it was like, but you take two from that. I was like, no, I didn't take two from that, but I can bring it back. And it was like, no, take it. And that was incredibly triggering. It took me a while to process it. And as I was doing this and eating my own garlic, okay, it was not even, I did a snack with this Silan. And I was just thinking about it, and I wasn't thinking about it. Actually, my parent called me, and they were like, "Could you bring some stuff from the fridge?" And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I need a space from this person." And I told them what's happened, and they were like, "Oh, but please, but this, but that." And it's like, "Oh, it's nothing." And I'm like, "No, nobody disrespect my feelings. I need space. I need my my own time and space. I don't want to explode on the person. I don't want to bring into a crappy situation." And I couldn't tell them, but I know Venus is in her shade period. And that does mean that the harvest from my garden is okay because I planted it, now I harvested. It was harvest moon, basically, the lunar mansion of harvest. But I know that right now I cannot have this much abundance. I already have to think about how do I arrange for my expenses, so that I have to account for perhaps not being able to reinvest into perfecting my own like product or business or whatnot, because I just have to prepare for those kinds of incidences. And I was really setting a fierce boundary there. And even before that, it was kind of like I was thinking about the whole situation of where people have invisible, I wouldn't call it disability, because disability sounds like something permanent, and we really don't know. Like, there are so many things that are not necessarily permanent, including people getting up from wheelchairs. So, but people dealing with current disability. And when that's invisible, like I saw a video. There's a beautiful YouTube channel who is made by a son of a woman who has who's a midget, basically. So she's shorter, and she was driving her car, and she had a disability tag for driving her car, and he was driving with her. He was filming the whole scene. It was a short on YouTube, and basically some guy decided it doesn't matter it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter who that person was, or whatever. This some person decided to begin to slander this woman, and she had to close the window from her car because he was really assaulting her for having a disability tag. Because when she's a midget, so she needs a special car or special, access to be able to drive, and so she needs a disability tag. Like, it just and he was starting to say, like, she's not supposed to use a disability tag or a disability part, like, because she looked normal to him. And that was how I felt when I come to take, something from the fridge, which takes a lot, it takes a lot of courage to basically use help. And somebody comes and says something like that, kind of like, isn't it enough when I once told you that I don't even remember how to, he's doing massages to people. And he was asking me when I just first came to the shop if I could, like, this is not about exposing him, it's more about the raising awareness for the issue. Okay, it's not slandering a person. I'm just telling the story. This happened to be with a real person, so it's not about shaming anyone. It's just telling my story and raising awareness. That's the point. That's what I want you to take from that. That's what it is. So he was doing massages, and he was asking me if I know people, and he said, but please, only people that really want massage and not like that. And one time I like really shared with him that I learned aromatherapy. I don't even remember how to give massages because I'm so traumatized from like all these things that I experienced at work too. So he knew, and he deals with that too. Okay, like what the fuck, you know? It's like, it's not even by a person who has not been through, like, you deal with that too. You deal with that too. You're working in this shop and not full-time job as a person who gives massages because you have to sift and sort your customers. So you have the ability to work. Of course, for me, it's difficult. And by the way, when I came, the only shop when I said, do you need employees, where I thought I might be able to give the shift or two, it was this shop, not to this person, but to another partner they didn't need, which is okay. Okay, like, no, this happens. Every business runs itself. So it's kind of like, It's not even how dare you, it's how irrational it is. And and as my parents were kind of like reminding me of this scene, I was setting like fierce boundaries. Only after that I remembered that Aries actually trines my midheaven now. So and this is not only does like Pluto, um I think it sextiles my ascendant, but Aries trines my midheaven. So I'm getting a real up jump from these planets and working with these planets, and especially the garlic. Like the garlic, I don't know if like to associate garlic with Aries. Aries is in Aries. Aries is Mars ruled, Mars garlic. And whenever I was consuming garlic or using garlic spiritually, it was like that. It was like I was pushing out any toxicity, like any person who's been toxic to me, even if they're not, like a parent does not know, they don't have this emotional intelligence, communicate, like, come on, like they're human. But it doesn't matter. I can still love a person and set fierce boundaries. Like, no, you won't disrespect my feelings, and explain what, even if I'm very angry or enraged, explain in words what's bothering me. That's a no-no, and if they need their space, it's like okay. But the thing is that both the garlic itself, which was the first thing I managed to grow, and the energies of Aries, they combine so well. I haven't tasted from these together because I'm still preparing it, but it's a bomb, because it dispels toxicity, and it's like nuking anything fungal inside you. And fungal is lack of growth. Okay? Anything that keeps you stagnant in any patterns within you or within everyone around you, because you're going to set fierce boundaries, you're just able to see clearly into the, not the goal or the horizon. Okay, clearly into, you're able to see clearly into the horizon. As I'm here, I am actually next to the horizon. Yeah. And for you, it's obvious. You think about Aries, okay? Aries is a planet this big, bigger than Pluto. Anything else science made out of it has nothing to do with science or with cosmology or with the way things are, unless you have new evidence that Aries is actually way smaller than Pluto, which that would refute that paradigm. But anything other than that, to demote Pluto because Aries is bigger, is it's the essence of what science is doing, that is harming people, because this is not just astronomy or astrology. Like, this is medicine, you know this is engineering, is also exact science. It's based on exact sciences. So, and I'm saying this with zero judgment, because we all tend to do that. We all have things that we do not see by ourselves, and sometimes there is self-stigma as well. So for me, that expressed itself as those invisible, like invisible cases, or if a person says something, like if a person would say with an invisible, disability, would say, oh, if I was on a wheelchair and so on, so and so, would you still be treating me the same thing? Then the people would begin to accuse them. It's like, oh, you're comparing yourself. Like, oh, do you want to experience? Like, no, sillies. I'm just pointing out at a very proper thing, that is that if you cannot observe the disability of the person, does not mean that they do not deal with difficulties that require for adjustment or assistance. Okay? That's just all I'm saying. I'm very, and when I'm going back to that video by that wonderful woman, I don't know what her name is, that she is a midget, and after she just closed the window and her son was with her filming everything, it was blurring the face of the person, of course, but because the issue is not this person, the issue is the issue. Okay, this is a private case that is beyond a private case, and this is why we raise awareness using these concrete cases, because you people want the story, you want a concrete case to understand. It's natural. But if somebody brings concrete case like, oh, you are shaming, you are this, you're not, no, I'm telling a concrete case story so that you can understand, you get the feeling of the phenomena that unfortunately is more than a private case. And even if it was a private case, it needs to be treated, right? So she was closing the window, and then she said, the positive thing, he did, it's a compliment, he doesn't see me as disabled. And so with invisibility, regarding those just adjustment that we need as human beings, like, just adjustments that we need as human beings. Like if I'm dealing with CPTSD and I postpone, like how I got this phone, I basically traveled probably 200 kilometers by public transportation. And mind you, it was not like the money that I had to spare. After postponing going there, because I knew that that branch of this bank, of this postal bank, has way less people, and I might not need to face the situation where I don't have my disability card with me because it's on the phone, and the card itself was sent to someone I ran away from, and need the consideration of a person there. The gift was that I got this phone because I fell on a person who was not only understanding and considering, say, I tend to believe you, but they were just like buying me a phone, which I was like, I told this with my sudden story. And that was so, I'm still like, can't even think how to thank them. And how, and I want to reiterate on this case, because when, it's vulnerable to say that, but I think it is important to be said. Yes, I did have flashbacks. Yes, I did have urges to not to discontinue from the entire situation, and I did not see a possibility to do that at the same time. That was my Friday, simply because a person dared to say something to a person that just comes and take from the fridge, believing probably that he's doing something good, but like, this person has been through sex offense, whatnot. Like, even if I would take more from the fridge, like maybe I have eating disorder, maybe I have things, maybe I was hurt in therapy, like many people. If you at all see people, then you know that people are hurt in therapy. Like, and that example of how life depriving that is, versus the example of that woman at the counter who said, I tend to believe you, and literally bought me a phone. I didn't even know that she bought me a phone in the beginning. And the thing is, because I thought it's just a spare phone that somebody has. People sometimes have spare phones. But the thing is that with that conversation of this woman, not only I felt like relief, and I felt more able and connected within society. I was like able even to stand on my feet standing, which usually I can't do. Okay, like this video, yeah, but then I sit down. Usually I can't really stand on my feet. I can walk, but I cannot stand on my feet. And I remember there was a soldier. It was, I think, no, it wasn't yeah, but there was a soldier, a woman soldier, and I said, oh my gosh, she needs this seat more than I do. And I literally got up. I was ready to get up. Eventually, she didn't sit there, so I sit again, because I was like, I was able to stand. I was able to stand a bit more, because there was somebody that was seeing me, that was giving this validation. How important it is to be as much as we can in our life. And we're all human and we all tend to doubt, and we can be in a weird mood, or somebody around us is in a frequency and we catch it. Okay, like the person I ran away from, they were not bad person, but they would catch frequencies, and the frequencies through COVID were horrid. And we could no longer like settle this. And the thing is, as much as we can, we want to try and be more like that woman from the bank. And if you can't help, it's okay that you can't help at the point. Okay, you can. I'm sorry, I cannot. It happens to me. Okay, I would give donations to people who are asking in the street and so on and so forth. And then somebody would ask and would no longer have my quota to give them. And I'm like, okay, I will just apologize and move on. It is better to do so than to try and shift the blame, okay, on another person. And it has happened for me. And when people shift the blame on another person, but they feel guilty that they cannot give, it is okay to set boundaries to your giving. You must honor yourself. But when people shift their blame to another person and they try to put the other person down and try to make it like the other person doesn't really need, or why don't they do this, or why don't they do that, or and it happens a lot even with social workers or something like that. Like, yes, a person can learn a skill and can open up to learn a skill, or when they feel validated, when they feel acknowledged, when they feel that you're not judging them, because there is nothing to judge. If you actually know your profession, you understand that there is nothing to judge. Okay, otherwise you're the one who's not professional because you don't get what they're dealing with and you're not qualified to treat them. But we don't want to do it like that. We rather want to be compassionate and say, okay, just hold a place. Not all of us know everything. Hold a place that if something looks really weird for you, which is every story, okay, she's really, because she's seeing things from a completely different, Aries does not understand. Why would you think that a planet that is a bit smaller than Pluto is not a planet? Like, it's not about being a planet or not being a planet. It's just you don't provide reasoning for that. It is reasonable. But for some reason, we have difficulties with seeing those Aries placement and those Aries archetypes. And we all have that, okay? We all have that. And I had caught myself when I was in certain situations, I caught myself like thinking, well, what the fuck, this is irrational. But or me doing something like, oh, what the fuck, this is irrational. It's okay to understand that we also have these places in ourselves, and it's also okay to tend to that. It's very okay to change that and to understand that, at least hold a space that you don't know what's going on. And if you think like, if you're given with the person, oh, this person is trying to fool me, to exploit me, please tend to your ability to give. A donation is an investment, and an investment is a donation. Why do I say that? Because with investment, sometimes you invest and you see, oh shit, nothing happens. Maybe you didn't do it at the right time. Maybe the person was not ready. Maybe it's not the right investment for them, and it's very difficult, okay? Just like with business, it's very difficult. But the more we can hold this stance where we don't blame ourselves for trying, and we also honor our boundaries of giving. You know, when I started working with Deneb Algadi, and it was right before I was between two houses, and I was trying to grow my business, and I said, and I was able to be honest and say, you know, I don't feel like giving gifts to people. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like, you know, and when you promote your business, you want people to have a taste of your services or a taste of this. And I was like, I felt like there isn't in me to give, which was horrid feeling. But, you know, when you feel like that, it's time that you need to receive. It's time that you need to receive and be on the receptive side. And in this way, you can later go back to giving in a way that's more measured for you. And we all go through this process. Okay? Much better to understand, okay, this is how much I can give, this I cannot give. The other person is not to blame for what I cannot give. It's not to blame. But the thing is that I have my own boundaries and I need to honor myself. And this is so important. Because at the end of the road, it's the difference between And it tends to be with people who do want to help. It tends to be with people who do want to do good in the world. Eventually, as people who need this help, it's eventually the people that we are most angry at is actually the people who are trying so hard, and they're like, but why doesn't it work? Or but why doesn't this? Or but why is that? Or but what is going on? Or but why are they taking food so much? Because I'm taking it not only for myself, and that he knew too. By the way, he knew that too. But and so look at the irrationality, and this is the Aries story. And eventually, those things that we have no reason to not see things correctly, but still we don't see them correctly, and this is the Aries story in many ways. They can bring people to certain situation where they are so unseen that they're like, starting to do vandalism or starting to do, things that they wouldn't otherwise choose to do. So as much as we can, it's so important to tend to those things and try to hold the benefit of the doubt. And that means that if somebody is hurt, then they are hurt. Okay, if somebody tells you I went to so and so, they are hurt. Okay, it's not about oh, I believe this person and then this was this. It was like, you don't see the whole truth. It's not. No. And on the scales, it's so much more important not to lose people into those helpless pits that eventually turns out or the person kills themselves, or and sometimes in a very tragic way. We had in Israel a case, a girl named Sapir that was trying to, she actually went to the army, and it was good for her in the army. Usually people die in the army, but also from suicide, not just from the war itself. But for her, actually, she thrived in the army, but then she left the army and she came back, right? Nobody was assisting. There was no place where she belonged anymore. And it was so much so that she wore clothes of basically a Muslim and started yelling Allahu Akbar and making some and holding like a gun. I think it was even a toy gun. I'm not even sure. And people shot at her and killed her because she knew that's how she's going to get killed. Okay, this happened a while ago. And those are some of those unfortunate, it can be, I'm not saying necessarily Aries, but those are some of the places people go to where they're totally unseen. Okay, or we have Isik Sadian, which is the very well-known now person who dealt with CPTSD from the army. Because he was not thriving in the army because he had CPTSD. And so much lack of assistance and so much invisibility that he basically burned himself alive. Now he's in recovery. And that's the stories of people that left unseen from the system, left unseen from society. And it's not for nothing that this is, the magic of the people. Because eventually, everything is made out of people. Okay, kings are people, regimes are people, the masses are a pack of individuals, a big pack of individuals. And it's true that there are very various patterns to how something works when you individuate and holistically. This is holistic medicine. It's also about that. Compartmentalizing things works differently than in the whole system. And that pertains to humanity as well. This is why both psychology and sociology is needed, which was difficult for me to understand because I wanted to see everything as, it is my choice. If I want to, I don't know, like end my life is my choice because, hey, like I'm trying to live, but if I don't find a way to live, at least, the way to die with dignity. And the sociology is involved because there was literally a situation where society does not see, does not acknowledge, does not give place. And so you hide yourself until eventually you explode. And those explosions can be a person kills themselves, like Sapir. And another well-known explosion is, of course, Adolf Hitler. And I talked about that case more than twice, okay? That people often try to look for a pathology within the person where, in fact, it's a whole society that is completely broken And then, you know, certain people are the face of the society. And that was pretty much the case with a person who could have easily painted pictures of the view that were not, you know, impressionistic or trendy, but were nonetheless artistic, and they definitely deserved a place to live. Like if you wanted to say, you know, if you wanted to stop a person from being Hitler, then what would you say? You know, maybe you need to grow some plants. Maybe you need to just sit at nature. You see, you like nature. Maybe you see you like creating. Okay, maybe paint, or paint what you see and concentrate on observation, and this will regulate your emotions. That's what he did naturally. That's what he didn't get the grant to do. Okay, because not getting accepted to academia is not about accepting to academia. It's about would he have the money to do that, and perhaps he needed to do that more so than others. And then eventually, the entire period of the Holocaust, speaking as third generation, was if we had to paint a picture of the nature of humanity, that was a surrealistic painting, but in reality, that was the Second World War. Okay, so, and I'm speaking, you know, with the spirit of the times. There are so many points of interference in this what seems to be chaotic system, and we all can tend to be blind to it. And there are so many points where instead of thinking of not providing or punishing, actually allowing people the space to take up space, to have the space and to have the nourishment, to be a good person, because it takes that space and nourishment and the many things. And um, this focus on these, you know, this aftermath of the Second World War, this focus on the individual choice to be, you know, even in difficult situation, to make the good choices. Read Viktor Frankl. He talks about like people had to survive. They did everything to survive. And at the end of the day, we are in the period where we go from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius, with Aries squaring it. And we need to keep in mind that it's about creating certain structures that allow for life to grow and to be. Because those same people that we call even narcissistic people, and I was hurt by people like this, okay, then eventually, if they get the place where they can, you know, grow their fruits or grow their land or do something that they like and enjoy, then slowly but slowly they might be able to normalize their own relations um, uh, with nature and with people. And you know, it's just so. It's just so. So this is something we need to keep in mind as we think about what societal structures do we want. Okay, because we definitely want a place for the individual. We definitely want the place for the individual to be able to retreat and return whenever they like without being judged. Okay, it's good for relationships, it's good for society. And if a person feels like they have to feel weird about asking for help, they will not ask for help, and then the situation will get worse. And then it will explode in some way. It will be very public. Even if they only kill themselves, it will be very public and very frightening. Okay, disappear. People thought she was going to do a terror attack. And she knew that. She took advantage of it, and she knew that she would not be treated well if she did it. She knew that that's the way for her to get killed. Okay? And if you think, oh, why did she not go to hospital countless times? And was also hurt in hospital. Why did she not turn to the welfare countless times? Why did she not turn to turn to the people countless times? Okay, and so when you see a person, if they only look like, oh, why are they doing this? You have to remember the countless times that you didn't see that they tried, or what they did, or what does it take to get up in the morning and do something other than destruction to themselves and society. So yeah, that's my honoring Aries and celebrating my garlic video. So Let me know if you are growing garlic and taking garlic, consuming garlic. Let me know if you have like psychological effects from that, or if you also feel like this toxicity, this suddenly being able to set boundaries. You know, it's a Mars herb. It's severing ties with the unjust, literally, and anything that has been very assertive. So I'd love to hear your stories. Sometimes the magic and the herbs are those things that we eat on daily basis. If you cook a nice pasta, and if you know of how to eat a garlic, then okay. One thing I do, because I didn't get there so many, is you swallow one like this, like a peel. Okay, you just swallow. You of course take the yeah, like only the garlic itself, not the wrapping. And then you just drink it with water. And this is good as antifungal, because I think that one is with the allicin. And then to chew on the another, and then you can take parsley or, no, yeah, parsley and coriander. Okay. So they are supposed to help, and you can just might not be before a kiss, but you chew on the garlic, and this is good for the heart. Okay, so to take it whole without chewing is good for antifungal. So if you have candida or something like that, if you just chew on it, it's good for the heart health. So you think antifungal and for the heart, the intestines and the heart, you go boom, everything that's toxic, everything that's stagnant, everything where you didn't express yourself. And also lavender helps with speaking your heart out. And I brushed my teeth with lavender. I kid you not, I brushed my teeth with lavender. And it was like more concentrated than it should have been. And that was like a combination that was like exploding from within, and yet finding the words to express my heart out. That's very good. That is a very good antifungal thingy to set your boundaries and tell your story, and do that as a point of raising awareness, rather than, it's not about taking anybody down, but more about like, hey, this happened. Hey, what can we learn from that, so that will change. And also keep in mind that we are also human, and we want to change it within ourselves too. So have a lovely, lovely day, evening, and let me know, what are you growing? Do you have a garden, or do you grow in your own apartment or in your own room? I know mushrooms you can grow even if you don't have a lot of light. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.